So one last point we want to make here is we used anticipation when we created the ball, bouncing balls. We created the anticipation by elevating the curve in the opposite direction above the 0 point, and that made the ball move backwards, and we also did the same manipulation of the curve to make the rotation rotate backwards. Well, in this case, we really only have one factor. We only have the bend deformer. So if I select that and then go into the graph editor, let's see, I don't seem to have the bend deformer selected here. Let's see if I click on the curvature. There we go. Okay. So here's our curve, which is essentially what we would expect, right? See if we can move this out of the way a little bit so you can see the window. We're start in a neutral position. We go down, bend over for the flexion, and then come back up after a little pause. So what we'd like to do is here, before we start the forward flexion, we'd like to maybe go backwards just a little bit with an extended move. So let's see if we can try and do the same thing we did. Here's the handle, and if I move that up a little bit, so when I come to it now, see, I am going backwards first and then down. Not sure why my sternum all of a sudden is not moving, but I'll have to make sure I reboot that. I didn't notice that in the other port. Now the same thing was going to happen here. I'm down at the end of my time where I'm sitting still, and I want to change. Instead of going up, I want to go down. I want to make a bit of a bow here, so it flexes just a little bit more before it comes up. Now if I grab the handle and move it, it will do that, but you see what it's going to do. It's also going to wiggle. So it comes down here and it goes above the curve a little bit, and then it does a little flexion, comes up because I move the handles like that. So let me get a little closer so you can see that. Okay. So I don't want this bump here. I don't want this raise because it's going to give me this kind of subtle little wiggle there, and then I'm going to flex and come back out into my return to the neutral position. So we're going to take this point, this keyframe, and we're going to break its tangents, and then I'm going to take the handle that's preceding the anticipation and make a straight line so that I come down. I should have no motion, and then a little bit of flexion, and then out. And then if I want to, obviously now I can make that even more dramatic. So I have a little bit of flexion and then out. So that's how I can create anticipation in this movement, in the flexion of the lumbar vertebra.